Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Made an interesting discovery this evening about the Bible. Want to share it with you. Just real quick to start, we've covered this before. The Bible as we know it, 66 books in length. When originally published, called the Gutenberg Bible, it's believed its original publishing date was March 22nd, 1457, meaning the first published Bibles turned 560 years old this past week. As we've talked about before, the Bible's called the Good Book. In Jewish Gematria, that sums to 223, kind of like 22/3 for the date March 22nd. As we've talked about many times, there's a lot of Freemasonic signatures in the Bible in the language of Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. Masonic equals 223. In the Bible, final book, Revelation, 66th book, it says the false Jews, the synagogue of Satan, will rule in the end times, 223. And that part of the Bible is written in a letter to the Church of Philadelphia, the original capital of the U.S., Philadelphia, 223. Special number. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Genesis, the first book of the Bible, the first of 66 books. Notice the gematria of Genesis, 33. That's interesting because Genesis means beginning. The word seed has gematria of 33. The word birth has gematria of 33. But Genesis, also gematria of 39. There's 39 books in the Old Testament. Genesis is the first of 39, which reminds of Matthew, which is the first book in the New Testament that the Christians go by, the first of 27 books. But back to Genesis. Genesis also has this 78 gematria. And the 78th verse of the Bible, the 78th verse of Genesis as well, is Genesis 3:22, which is a very interesting verse. A lot of Christian scholars debate on the meaning of Genesis 3:22. This is the 78th verse of the Bible. Again, the original publishing date, March 22nd, can also be expressed 3:22. From the King James Version, Genesis 3:22 reads, "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil." We're going to focus on that part of the verse. It also reads, "And now, let he put forth his hand and take also the tree of life and eat and live forever." So that's the King James Version. The opening part of that verse, "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil," sums to 3:22. So I said, I wonder what the coding is in the New International Version. The New International Version, the most common form of the Bible. The King James, the most gematria intact. The New International Version reads, "And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil." We're going to look at that part of the verse, just like how we looked at that part for the King James Version. The second part in this version reads, "He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." So, in the New International Version, the way it reads, it also sums to 3:22. "And the Lord God said that the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil." I mean, what are the odds? Genesis 3:22, the specific number to the publishing of the Bible, and the exact same coding in these two very common versions. And real quick, I want to show you something about the NIV version. First, I want you to appreciate this about the Gutenberg Bible. Gutenberg has gematria 45 and reduced and reverse reduced, just like Holy Bible. These were the first published Bibles as we know it. NIV, using simple English gematria, is also 45, like Holy Bible. And with regards to that part about the tree of life, you think about the tree of life, Kabbalah. Tree has gematria of 48, and 48 has a relationship with 223, the reflection of 322, 223, the 48th prime. It was about knowing good and evil. Evil has that gematria of 48, which relates to 223. I don't know about good having a parallel to that number, but it is interesting that evil does. especially in light of how we see how this number is used in the world. Ritual terrorism, ritual murder. It seems that the powers that shouldn't be have definitely chosen evil, and I think those of us who are awake are well aware of that. So just understand, in the Bible, there is a lot of Freemasonic signatures. The New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. New Testament 42, Freemason 42, Zionism, astrology, history, knowledge, sin. Think about Jesus dying for the sins. Think about the Freemason compass with the big G, which represents 42. Think about the 42 laws of Ma'at. Going back to the Egyptians, the 42 laws of Ma'at are all about sin. Again, sin 42. All of these numbers have origin in this world. 42 also has a direct connect to 74, like gospel, Jesus, cross, Jewish, Masonic, occult, Messiah, Joshua, Yeshua, Greek and English translations of the name Jesus. So just wanted to share this. I thought that was so fascinating how both of those were 322, Genesis 322. Again, this is the 78th verse of the Bible, the 78th verse of Genesis. Genesis has the Gematria of 78. Let's read it one more time. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. People debate, again, what all these Bible verses mean. But, you see the coding in the language. We see how it's used. To me, I take it all as a mocking of people who, for the most part, genuinely choose to be good because within our own internal regulating system, being good feels right. It's essential for the soul. But most good people who would read this verse, they would have no idea what's behind the words. And it's the people behind the words who have made the choice, to overwhelmingly be evil. The history of the United States of America, in 1622, there was a massacre blamed on Native Americans. There were no survivors, so nobody really knows who did the killing in Jamestown. But out of that mass slaughter became a movement to kill all of the Native American people. And out of that movement, part of the rhetoric was these godless heathens, these natives, or these Indians, they have no Bibles, they have no spirituality, they're lessers. So, what I'm trying to say is the powers that shouldn't be, they've used this number throughout history to lead good people astray for unrighteous causes. They've led good people into evil. See if I got something else up here queued for you. From Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, where the synagogue of Satan is discussed, it also says, this is Revelation 13:18, Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. Notice that is 223. 223. And here is wisdom and number of the beast, both sum to 66. Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, where this verse about 666 is. The New Testament concludes at the end of the 66th book. Here is wisdom also has the parallel to Freemason. 147, very special number to Freemasonry. So just some more insights, another big revelation. And I'm telling you, if you take this Gematria knowledge and you apply it to the verses of the Bible, there's a whole lot more to be unlocked. Seems like every time I look at the Bible and start decoding, find something huge. So 322 in the King James and the New International Version for Genesis 322. And again, Gematria, this language, very connected to spiritual texts throughout history, especially the Jewish texts. Gematria, mostly a Jewish practice. The synagogue of Satan, 223, the false Jews said to rule in the end times. Here's a story from March 22nd about a white supremacist going on a killing spree of black people in New York. They said his name was James Harrison Jackson on March 22nd, 22/3. White supremacist 223. All throughout history, again, Native Americans in 1622. White people, black people in 2017. Over in London, Christian people, Islamic people. March 22nd, false flag. So I hope I'm making sense, Truth Seeker. I'll link all this below in case you want to check it out. This website, very nice. You can just flip through all the versions of the Bible. Could do a little more work, you know. Some of these other versions, they might have coded 322 in their wording as well. But KJV, most Masonic version, New International Version, most commonly read version. NIV has a little Gematria relevance, as I showed with 45. Well, I'm not surprised it's those first two versions with 322. And by the way, those are the only two versions I've looked at. Then again, whenever I do my Bible decoding, those are the only two versions I ever look at. But I'm sure there's more, Truth Seeker. So I'll link all this below. Until next time.